Hey there, my name is Upper Wesley, and today I'll be talking about the expression builder in GDevelop. So to begin with, I'll show you where the expression builder is. We go to the event sheet and pick an action. We pick the B enemy and select rotate. And trust me, the engine can do a lot more things than just rotate an object, but it just seems like the thing that I picked the most. If I put a 1 in here, the B enemy will rotate at an angular speed of 1, but if I go to the expression builder here on the right, you'll see there's a big list of things I can search from. These can range from the size and width of an object to the distance between two objects, which I'm going to use now. You'll see that I've multiplied it by 1, and that's just to show you that this basically works the same way as an algebra equation, when you're sticking to numbers. So you can add, subtract, multiply, divide, use brackets, the whole 9 yards. And then if we go back to the main scene and give the player object the draggable object behavior, and we press preview, we can then drag the player closer to the B, and as we do that you can see it's slowing down. And that's because the distance between the B and the player object is getting smaller, so it's rotating at a slower speed. But if we move the player away from the B, it speeds back up again, because it's getting further away, so the number is bigger. Now let's get rid of that, and I'll show you an actual game-related example. So I made these objects earlier. We have a heart object that's a sprite, and a heart object that's a tiled sprite. So if we put the tiled sprite into the scene, within the camera's default border, and then put it on the UI layer that I made earlier, then we can build this first event, where when I release the left mouse button, one time, we'll create the heart sprite object at the X and Y position of the mouse. Then we'll make a second event with the condition if player is in collision with heart, and then we'll make the action to modify the object variable of the player. If we click on this tool button to the right, we'll be shown this object's object variable list. And since it didn't have any, I'm going to click add and give it an object variable of health, and then 2 as the number. So now when I click here, it'll show me my options, and I'll select add, because what I'm trying to do is add to the player's health, and 1. And then I'm going to create an action that shows that the player's health is changed. So if I select the heart UI object, and select the width of the object, I'll select it to set to, and then click on the expression builder tool, search for object, and select object variable, select the player as the object, and you can see I can click here again to display this object's variables. I'm going to select health, and because I know the size of the heart that I made earlier, it's 64 pixels by 64 pixels, I'm going to multiply this width by 64. This is only going to work because it's a tiled sprite. If I pick the regular heart object, which is a sprite, it would just get all squished up. Now let's move this into its own event, so it's checking this every frame, and then as a final action we're going to add delete the heart. And just to show you that the player doesn't have to be the thing that gets the platformer controls, you can literally put these behaviors on any object. I'm going to put it on the heart. So what's happening here is that each frame we're changing the heart UI's size to match the player's health. And every frame that the left mouse button is released will create one heart object at the mouse position. And every frame that the player is in collision with a heart, it will add 1 to the object variable health of the player object, and then it will delete that heart. So now if we press preview, you'll see the health UI is up at the top, showing 2 hearts because it's expanded to 2 times 64 because the player's object variable health starts at 2. And now if I release the left mouse button, it creates a heart at the X and Y coordinates of the mouse. And it does this every time I click. If I drop one directly on the player, you'll see that it's added 1 to the object variable health because it's being displayed up top. And it will keep adding health as long as I keep giving it hearts. And those have been the basics of how to use the expression builder. There's a lot of things you can do with it, but this was hopefully enough information for you to go off and check it out yourself. I have been Helper Wesley, and I'm glad I could help.